Talking about the mitzvah of makkah, the mitzvah to build a parapet, a fence around one's roof. If it's a roof that a person can access, a flat roof. We talked about some different elements of it. There's also a deeply Jewish philosophical side to this mitzvah. The Sefer Chinuch speaks about this, the Abarbanel. The Sefer Chinuch says, and I think they're moved to talk about this philosophical issue precisely on the mitzvah of makkah, of building a fence around the roof, because of the language of the verse. The verse says, Ki yipol hanofel mimenu. You have to build a fence around your roof so that, because or else, yipol hanofel mimenu. The one who falls will fall from it. It's a very strange language. And so the commentaries say that if somebody falls from it, it means that somehow they deserve to fall, because on some level, what happens in the world, there's hashgacha, there's God's providence in the world. So why do you have to build a makkah? Why do you have to build a fence? The answer is, megalgalin zechus al yidei zakai. That the Gemara says, okay, something's going to happen to this person, they deserve it, but it shouldn't happen through you. So therefore you build a makkah, therefore you have to build a fence. And so this moves the commentators to think about the Jewish philosophical issue behind the mitzvah of building a parapet, which is that why should you do anything? If God gives you what you deserve, and God controls the world, and we even have a statement of Chazal, of the rabbis, that nobody stubs their toe below without it being decreed above. If that's true, then why do you have to bother building a fence? Save the money. If somebody deserves it, they're going to get it. If somebody doesn't deserve it, they won't get it. So the Gemara's answer is it shouldn't come through you, but it does bring up a much bigger philosophical question. So the way the Sefer Chinuch puts it, which is a book that goes through all the mitzvot, he says it's true that there's complete hashgacha, there's complete divine providence. He says, but nevertheless, God put us in a physical world and commanded us to guard ourselves in this physical world and preserve our life in this physical world. He doesn't really answer it. He just says that that's the reality, and we have this mitzvah to preserve ourselves in the physical world. Nevertheless, even though there is complete divine providence. The Abarbanel says a slightly different thing. He admits the contradiction, the tension between these two elements, and he says that it sounds like he says that there are times in the world when a person suffers, and that is God's will, and there are times in the world when a person suffers, and it's not due to God's will, it's just happens. And so he says, if you put a parapet around the roof, so then if the person deserves it, they're going to fall anyway. But if they don't, you're going to protect that person. So he does seem to admit a category in his commentary right there on the verse in Devarim, does seem to admit a category sort of beyond hashgacha pratis. We know there's a famous argument in medieval Jewish philosophy about divine foreknowledge. If God is infinite and omnipotent and God knows everything, so how can you have free choice? We believe at the same time that we have absolute free choice. The Rambam is very clear about that, and yet certainly there is divine knowledge of what's going to happen. That for hundreds of years, that was considered an enormous contradiction that was very difficult to solve, and it's a giant argument between medieval Jewish philosophers, all the way from one side, the Ralbag that denies that says God doesn't actually know the decisions we're going to make, obviously all the way to the other side, in which one would say there is complete hashgacha, but nevertheless we do have free will. The Rambam says this. You have to say both are true. How it works, though, perhaps we don't know.